So
Can you hear me?
now Stamatiki Kritas will tell us about the situation in Greece.
Well, I'm not going to focus on the situation in Greece. Thank you for having us. My name is Stami. Probably most of you know me. I am the cluster manager of Hellenic Biocluster, the only biosciences cluster in Greece. And I have to say that we're very fortunate because the NoboCap project has 4 clusters being involved. Obviously, the person who's leading it, the coordinator, is a cluster, and we've got clusters from across different innovation ecosystems. I'm not going to focus on, I think the previous speakers covered exactly what we have been finding and what we have been finding that the challenges are for the innovators across our ecosystems. So there's no point of actually going on and just sort of telling again what the problems are. There are problems with the framework because it was introduced in 2017 and now it's 2024. So things have actually moved on. The technology has moved on. Now the AI Act is coming into play as well. So there's confusion there. The SMEs and the startups are very confused on what the regulation is, and they don't probably consider that they should be talking about regulation really early on, so we need to educate them. The notified bodies have burden, they face their own burden, finding skilled people to assess, as well as we saw the increase in the numbers of applications that are happening, so the load has increased, but the number of notified bodies has stayed the same. So there are all the challenges, and I think the good thing with NoboCap is that we, and the community, I think I want to sort of relate it back to what Eve said before, the community has exactly that role to bring the voices of all the key stakeholders together in order to find solutions. And the last, suggest solutions. Yesterday we ran 2 workshops and it was great because in 2 hours, having very different people coming from different backgrounds in the workshop, we tried to see where we need to focus in order to change and make this process streamlined for everyone. Coming from the cluster side, we want to keep innovation in Europe. We know that we're creating, or our SMEs, our researchers are creating great innovation. We have to find ways to keep it here and make it really competitive in order to be able to grow. And this is what the clusters do. This is what our role is. So trying to change the policy, obviously, is something that we have been advocating as a project and as a community, trying to educate both the innovators but the notified bodies in order to be better skilled. Obviously, reskilling and upskilling people is very important, and this is what the project is focusing on. Trying to actually bring the investors coming in, and I think that's where the next speaker has a little bit more insight in that, but trying to educate the investing community that we need more funding into this process. We need the investors to realize that this takes time. Unfortunately, we face a problem in Europe that a lot of the innovators, the smaller players, are deciding to move to the US, for example, because it's a lot easier, a lot quicker, they can find money. We don't want that. I'm Australian, but I've been living in Greece. Greece has the problem of brain drain. Now Europe is having the problem of brain drain, so I think that's something we need to face as well. If we want to have a fair and equal health, this is something that came as an outcome yesterday, that this is where we should be working on and having access, all patients across Europe and the citizens having equal and fair health. I think we need to all sort of start the conversation, continue the conversation and find solutions.
Thank you very much. Yes, some excellent points there, and it provides the background environment that everybody is working against. So that was really helpful. Thank you. I do have one question for you. What, in your view, are the key elements that are likely to attract the investor community?
To attract the investor community? Well, we can definitely say, I think this is where clusters are important. I keep going back to clusters because we are clusters, but we can definitely see we work with excellence every day. So there is research excellence, there's cutting edge technology that's coming out of Europe, and we need to persuade the investors a little bit. Sorry, I'm looking at you, but to persuade
Yes,
the investors a little bit
moving to Carrie next.
to be risk averse. I mean, you have to take the risk to actually innovate, and the regulation needs to be there because the regulation safeguards the patient and the industry. So the regulation is important, but taking into consideration that the regulation probably takes a little bit more time, I think in this context, it needs to be communicated more.